The Toronto Raptors run out of gas against the Golden State Warriors, 129-117. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Leo Rautins, Sherman Hamilton, and Jack Armstrong. Sherman, I'll start with you. You know, the Raptors stayed with this team for most of the game, but what did you attribute this loss to most?
Well, I think the struggle with playing against the Golden State Warriors is that their offense is so consistently and explosive at times that, you know, if you slip in any area trying to score with them, you're going to have problems unless you defensively disrupt what they're going to do. And this Golden State team shot 50% or over every quarter. That's tough to keep up with. That's tough. That's a race that the Raptors are going to struggle if they just try to score at the Golden State Warriors. And, you know, eventually it catches up to you. And at the end of the day, the Golden State Warriors ball movement was phenomenal. And the Raptors fought. I mean, they were in that game and gave themselves a chance, but that offense is just too overwhelming when it's clicking the way it was. And the Raptors, you know, you just can't keep, you know, you can get into a gunfight with somebody, but if they have more bullets than you, guess what? They're going to win. And I think that Golden State just had so much offensive pressure on the Raptors that they couldn't keep up defensively or offensively down the stretch. And to me, that was the difference.
Jack, what did you see there?
Well, I thought Sherm nailed it pretty well with regard to how it played itself out. I mean, losing OG Anunoby and the Raptors obviously aren't the deepest team, put them in a difficult spot. And guys got tired as the game went on. I mean, that was a great pace of the game. It was, you know, the thing, I don't have the ability live in game to get it, but the stat, I kept pointing it out during the game. How many times did the Warriors score right after the Raptors scored? I can't even begin to fathom mathematically what that was, but it was incredibly impressive to do what they did. And they just, hey, give them credit. They get the ball out of the net so quick, and they run it down your throats. And they challenge. And the other thing, too, is they do a great job with their spacing and their back cutting. You know, there really is a method to the madness in terms of how they play.
Yeah, and it's funny when you mention that, Jack, because each time I'd look down at my computer or check a stat, I'd look up and the score would have changed. You know, you missed the whole bucket the other way completely. But Leo, going back to what Jack was just saying about the way they play and the passing and cutting and the pace and all that, are you surprised that more teams don't do it that often? Because it does look different than playing other teams. And clearly it's successful.
Well, yeah, sure. It's successful if you got the personnel to do it. Right. You know, you take a look at, you know, how many teams in this league are shooting threes and aren't good at it? A lot. Okay. Well,
what's up, Matty?
That one right there.
You got Matty D back there.
What's up, Matt?
What's up, Matty? But you know, but Golden State shoots a three. You know, they're the ones that set the tone as far as the whole league doing it. Their pace is incredible. They also defend, right? This is a team that guards. So when you want to try to play with them at that pace, you're not going to win the game, right? You have to slow the game down. You know, they're just too good at what they do. And you're, like you said, you know, Jack, you know, you score, they're going to come and score right back. You know, you miss a couple of shots, turn the ball over. All of a sudden, you could be down 9, just like that. And so, you know, they're a dangerous team. And then you think about this game. I mean, the Raptors competed, but Pascal was a non-factor. OG didn't play because he got hurt, and you're still in the game, right? So, you know, they did a pretty good job of giving themselves a chance, considering the circumstances they were playing under. But you know, you know, everybody kind of has been writing off Golden State. I'm going, I don't want to face them in the postseason if I'm in the Western Conference. And guess what? They're going to be there at the end.
Oh yeah, for sure. And sure, I'm going to Steph here. You know, it's so incredible how hard it is to make him miss, or at least just make him uncomfortable offensively. Could you imagine guarding someone like that?
No, because that's a nightmare. I mean, you're talking about having to not only keep up with his motor, but the guy's a computer on the floor. He's making plays in the moment. He's reading, he's reacting, he's hurting you off the pass, off the score, off the shot. It's a nightmare to defend him. And I thought Fred did a really good job matching him offensively for a lot of this game in terms of being able to score with him. But you just think about it. You have to make high-level decisions at a very rapid pace every time down the floor when he's on the floor. So it's difficult on so many levels. Coaching staffs, you've got to struggle to prepare for him. Players know that they have to get up, and they better be ready to stay in that fight. And he's still going to be able to get it done. So, he was phenomenal again tonight. And I just think, we talk about great players in the history of the game and how they changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about players who are big guys, athletic guys who are just so dominant because of their physical abilities at times, along with their mental approach to the game. Steph Curry is a normal-sized human being when you think about the basketball world, and he has changed the game, the way players are learning to play, the way coaches have to scheme against him, and the way the three-point shot has become such a valuable and deadly option for teams.
Mm-hmm. And on the other side, Jack, when you look at Fred's play tonight, it just seems like he really relishes this matchup because he always seems to have a good game against the Warriors and Curry.
He does. And, and not only tonight against Curry and the Warriors, but I look at him where he is the last few weeks. He's really picked his game up. I mean, his shooting's been better, playmaking, burst, even doing a little better job keeping people in front of him. Just in general, there were a few turnovers tonight, and he's been very good in terms of protecting the ball. But overall, his play is really elevated here in the last few weeks. And to me, I think it's opened some eyes not only in the Raptor land, because he was struggling for a while, but I think it opens up eyes around the league as well in terms of we all know what's going on here in the next 12 days in terms of the trade deadline. And I don't think he's hurting his case in terms of whether it be with the Raptors or with one of the other 29 teams in terms of the desire to trade for him, and obviously looking at an extension as well.
Mm-hmm. Leo, you mentioned Pascal and struggling tonight. Why did you see him struggle? What did you see in his play?
I just saw, he wasn't making the shots he normally takes, and then he started pressing. He seemed to get wired up with the officials. I think it affected him defensively as well. So he kind of unraveled a little bit, having a bad offensive game. And, the Raptors can't afford that. And Pascal's got to realize that he's still a magnet. All right. He can have a poor offensive game, but he can still help other guys get their game off. But there looked at times, it looked like he didn't even want the ball out there, or he was just forcing shots. So he's got to find a way to stay in the game. And quite frankly, we've seen a lot of games this season where, say, Fred was having a big game and Pascal would disappear. Well, if Fred has a big game and Pascal has a big game, most likely you're going to win that game. But it's gone the other way, and just have to find a way to. Like I said, to me, there's favorable matchups for him in this game. His length and his quickness should lead to a lot of good offensive opportunities, and they just weren't there. And you could tell by some of the shots he missed at the game that mentally it shook him. So, as a premier offensive player for a team, you can't let a bad shooting night affect all of your game. And like I said, you could find ways to get easier buckets too by getting into paint. But he was even missing the bunnies. So just one of those games that it was unfortunate it happened tonight for the Raptors.
I'm sure. Just talking about Precious Achiuwa now, 17 points, 11 rebounds. He's now scored 10 or more points in 9 of his last 10 games. In what ways does it look like things have clicked for him?
Well, he's playing fast, but he's not in a hurry anymore. He's making so much more better decisions consistently, whereas before you could say that he was making more less than good decisions more consistently. And I really think, when you think about Precious's ability to impact the game with his size, and he's extremely quick with the ball, when he makes decisions that are just in front of him, he's not trying to figure it out as he starts to make his move. He sees the spot, he makes the play. He becomes very effective. It's when Precious tries to do a little bit too much and he gets kind of in his own way, that's where he struggles. But I love his energy. I love what he's bringing off the bench. And the Raptors need everything he's bringing off the bench, because if they don't have that, they're really going to struggle. And who would have thought with him out of the lineup that he would have this much impact back in the lineup with the way that he plays? So it's great to see. It's him and Chris Boucher again are finding that synergy. But Precious's ability to shoot it, to get to the basket, to rebound the ball, and to switch defensively on smaller players and still do a pretty good job keeping people in front of him, that's the versatility they need from him.
Well, Jack, I imagine if OG's out for any length of time, Precious steps into the starting lineup, and then it puts even more pressure on the Raptors bench, who didn't get a lot of production outside of Achua tonight. You know, they gotta come with it against Portland. You know, the Raptors starters did play a lot of minutes.
Well, no, I said it on the game at the end of the game. They got their hands full tomorrow night. Let's be real. I mean, you know, Portland's sitting there watching this game tonight, and the pace of the game, and you know, and you guys all know it. Sherman, Leo, and Randy, yourself as well. When you're grabbing your shorts at the end of the game on every dead ball, that's a sure sign of fatigue. And there were guys on the Raptors all doing that. And that's not a knock. It's a reality of the pace of the game tonight. It just wears you down. And, you know, the other thing from a big picture perspective in the next 12 days, you hope it's just a sprained wrist, because we saw this before, you know, with an Andrea Bagnani getting hurt, and the trade deadline looming, and you want to make sure that even if you decide not to trade OG Anunoby, you want to be able to listen to offers on everybody, and you want to get people's best offers and best discussions. So you hope that he's just a sprained ankle or sprained wrist, excuse me. And the other thing, yeah, I mean, tomorrow night, you're going to have to go deeper. I mean, Aaron Gomez, Thad Young, and you know, you could just start naming names, but there's no question tomorrow night it's going to come down to that in terms of your depth of your team and how well you play in the first quarter. That's going to be huge. How good they play early on, just to get off to a good start, play with a little bit of cushion, have a little bit of margin error tomorrow night. But I tell you what, the fatigue, it was tiring calling this game, let alone playing in it. So clearly, it's going to be a number one topic for tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, guys, going to stop it there. Next game for the Raptors is Saturday against the Portland Trailblazers. As Jack mentioned, tip-off goes at 10 p.m. Eastern. And after the game, be sure to catch Raptors Tonight on YouTube and NBA TV Canada.